Welcome to the channel, everybody. Today, we're going deep, man, like really deep into the history books. We're talking about the baddest dudes on the planet, the most powerful warriors ever known to man. These are the guys who fought battles, conquered empires, and basically wrote the history books with the blood of their enemies. We're talking Achilles, Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, the whole damn crew. We're gonna break down their stories, their skills, and what made them such legendary badasses. This is gonna be an epic journey, people. So buckle up, grab your protein shake, and get ready to explore the top 10 most powerful ancient warriors. First up, we got Achilles, man. This dude was like the original Superman, literally dipped in a river, made invincible, the whole 9 yards. Except for that one tiny little Achilles heel, right? But let's be real, the guy was practically a god among men. We're talking about the Trojan War, one of the most legendary conflicts of all time, and Achilles was the main event. He was known for his insane strength, speed, and fighting skills, man. The guy was unstoppable on the battlefield. He was like a one-man army, just wrecking shop and leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. We're talking about a level of ferocity and skill that was practically unheard of. I mean, the guy single-handedly turned the tide of the war, man, and his story, man, it's full of passion, rage, and some serious daddy issues. We'll get into all that. Next up, we got Alexander the Great, the guy who decided to conquer the known world before he even hit 30. Talk about ambitious, right? This dude was a military genius, a brilliant strategist, and a pretty good warrior himself. He never lost a battle, man, not one. That's insane. He conquered Persia, Egypt, parts of India, all with an army of loyal followers who would follow him anywhere. What was his secret? It wasn't just about brute force with this guy. Alexander was smart, man. He knew how to use the land, the weather, and even the psychology of his enemies to his advantage. Plus, he led from the front, charging into battle with his men, which earned him their undying loyalty. Spartacus! This dude was a gladiator who said screw this to slavery, and led a revolt against the most powerful empire the world had ever seen, Rome. We're talking about a guy who was literally fighting for his life in the arena, then turned around and used those skills to challenge an empire. He rallied his fellow slaves and gladiators and built an army from the ground up. They fought with whatever they could get their hands on, man. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but they were not outmatched in heart, man. Spartacus's rebellion, it was about more than just freedom from slavery. It was about fighting for something bigger than yourself. It was about standing up to tyranny and demanding justice. Hold on to your helmets because we're talking about Leonidas and the 300 Spartans at the Battle of Thermopylae. Picture this, 300 Spartans facing off against the largest army the world had ever seen, the Persian army. Talk about a bad day at the office, right? They knew they were hopelessly outnumbered, but they held that narrow pass for 3 days, fighting with unbelievable courage and discipline. Leonidas and his men, they were warriors from birth, trained from childhood to be the ultimate fighting force. They were willing to lay down their lives for their city, for their freedom. That's commitment, man. It's one of the most inspiring and badass last stands in history. Genghis Khan. The name alone sends chills down your spine. This guy rose from nothing, from being a nobody in tribal Mongolia to become the most feared conqueror in history. He united the Mongol tribes and unleashed them upon the world, creating the largest contiguous land empire ever seen. Think about that. From Asia to Europe, Genghis Khan's empire stretched across the map. He was a brilliant military strategist, a ruthless leader, and a master of logistics. He adapted to his enemies, using horseback warfare, siege tactics, you name it. He was also incredibly cunning, using psychological warfare to break his enemies before a single arrow was even fired. The man was a force of nature, a true game-changer in the history of warfare. Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general who struck fear into the heart of the mighty Roman Empire. This dude marched an army complete with freaking war elephants over the Alps, to attack Rome on its home turf. I mean, who does that? He was a master tactician, constantly outmaneuvering and outsmarting the Roman legions. Can I, man? Look it up. It was one of the greatest military victories of all time, and Hannibal orchestrated it perfectly. He was relentless, he was strategic, and he came closer than anyone to breaking the Roman Republic. This dude was a true nightmare for Rome. Sun Tzu. This guy wasn't just a warrior, he was a philosopher, a strategist, a straight-up mastermind. His book, The Art of War, is still studied today by military leaders and CEOs alike. That's how timeless this dude's wisdom is. He believed in winning battles before they even began, using strategy, deception, and knowledge of your enemy to achieve victory without even having to fight. Think about that, winning without fighting. That's some next-level stuff. His teachings have influenced military thinking for centuries and are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Veni, Vidi, Vici, Julius Caesar. A name synonymous with power, ambition, and the Roman Empire. This dude was a general, a politician, a writer, a revolutionary, and a total badass. He conquered Gaul, which is modern-day France by the way, defeated his rivals in a civil war, and became the most powerful man in Rome. He was known for his charisma, his ambition, and his ruthlessness. He was also a brilliant military strategist, famous for his swift victories and his ability to command the loyalty of his troops. Caesar's story is a wild ride of power, betrayal, and ultimately, assassination. The dude was stabbed 23 times by his own senators. Attila the Hun. They called him the Scourge of God for a reason, man. This dude was terrifying, known for his brutality and his relentless raids across Europe. He led his Hunnic warriors on a reign of terror, sacking cities and striking fear into the hearts of empires. He was like a force of nature, a whirlwind of destruction that left a path of chaos in its wake. Attila's military prowess was legendary. He used a combination of horsemanship, archery, and psychological warfare to devastating effect. He was a master of fear, a true embodiment of chaos and destruction. Last but not least, we got Joan of Arc, a young peasant girl who rose to become one of the most unlikely military leaders in history. At just 17 years old, she led the French army to victory against the English in the 100 Years' War. Talk about girl power, right? She claimed to have visions from God, and whether you believe it or not, she rallied the French troops and turned the tide of the war. She was courageous, she was charismatic, and she was burned at the stake at just 19 years old. Talk about a raw deal, man. Joan of Arc's story is one of incredible faith, courage, and ultimately, martyrdom. She's a true icon, a symbol of unwavering belief in yourself and your purpose. That's it, folks. Our whirlwind tour of history's most powerful warriors. From the battlefields of ancient Greece to the steppes of Mongolia, these warriors left their mark on history with their strength, their courage, and their unwavering will to win. They were flawed, they were complex, but they were undeniably powerful figures who shaped the world we live in today. So next time you're facing a challenge, remember these warriors. Channel their spirit, their determination, and go out there and conquer your own battles. Thanks for joining me on this epic journey.